Hey everybody, Todd Lanier here, founder of Ministry to Marketplace and Launchpoint. And I've got Clark here with me. Clark went through our program, former Young Life, now moving into an awesome job in commercial real estate. He did it all in about 7 weeks, which is what we were just talking about right before this. So, Clark, I wanted to hand it over to you though, because it's a great story, but I'd actually love to know from you in terms of your job search, in terms of knowing that you were going to do something next and starting to look for that new job, where were you before we got started working together?
Yeah, we had our third baby in April, and I feel like for the last year or so, my wife and I have been having this conversation throughout pregnancy of what the next 3 to 5 years look like. And I'd served with Young Life for about 6 years. I've also been a youth pastor for a stint and had really only known youth ministry and felt pretty clearly that it wasn't another job in Young Life or a job with the church again, but it was probably something with a little more standard hours and better pay just to take care of my family and for my wife to work less. And we had the baby in April. And really, in that next month, we realized this is the time to do this. I have a paternity leave. We've got a pretty slow summer. It felt like, okay, if I really go all in on this and really put 20 hours a week to this and not just once a week get coffee with somebody, I feel like I could find a job by the end of the summer. And so that's what kind of started me down the path of looking for a new job.
Yeah. So that was when was it that you started thinking, if you had to put like a month on it, it was like, okay, I'm committed. We're gonna make this, we're gonna get this new job. I'm gonna start working on this.
Yeah, probably like May 1st, I would say. We were like, we're telling everybody and we're moving in this direction. We're gonna make it. We're kind of burn the ships May 1st and went for it. So
Yeah, totally, totally. Okay, so what was the tipping point in that made you end up reaching out to us about working with us?
part of it was knowing, I mean, especially in young life, leaving in the summer is a great time to leave because it gives the organization time to hire somebody new to start in August or September with the new school year. I knew, hey, I can't really afford to be unemployed for very long. And so if we really want to make a move by August 1st, I really need to hit this hard and not just passively attack this and just launch applications into, easy apply on LinkedIn. I really need to be intentional about this. And my brother had sent me some of your stuff on LinkedIn after we had talked. And he said, you should look into this. This is probably something that would help you speed this process up and honestly just find a better job. Like I really was looking for a 5, 10, 15 year thing and not, I'd say a lot of people find jobs and do it for a year or two and they were looking again. And I was down to do that, but I felt like, man, if I really could do it well this time and land in a totally new career, that would be worth the investment. I mean, the your marketplace program costs money, and that felt like a worthy investment for my wife and I. And it felt like some security in the 90-day process of like, I really need to find something in, you know, sub 100 days that really panned out well. So it worked out
Yeah.
well.
And when you were doing this, so this was a conversation that you and your brother had, you and your wife had. What stopped you from just doing it yourself instead of getting help?
Before I took this current role that I'm in, I was working for a church. And when I was starting to look for other stuff, I was looking for marketing things, which was my degree, and then also looking at going back on Young Life staff. And I really didn't know what I was doing. And I think in the back of my mind, I knew I wanted to get back on Young Life staff. And so I didn't put a lot of legwork into working on my resume and reaching out to a bunch of people. I basically interviewed for 2 companies. One led to an offer, one didn't, and then I just kinda said, "I'm gonna go back on Young Life staff." What I realized is I don't actually know what I'm doing, and I have no idea how to translate what I've done into language and terms that would make sense to a recruiter, and that was what appealed to me from what I saw on the Launchpoint site was, "Oh, Todd was a recruiter. He's been on the other side of the desk metaphorically, and he understands what is appealing and what sticks out, and he can help me get from where I'm at to where I wanna be and not have to do the year, 18-month, hundreds of applications process that I had seen people do. I'm like, I just wanna skip that if I can. If that's an option, let's leapfrog that process, so
Yeah, and you talked about where you were and where you want to be. Now you're where you want to be. How would you describe where you are right now?
I mean, it really I feel super blessed. I feel like, when we started this process, started having this conversation really seriously in April and then made a decision in May, the job that I got, the company I'm with, the pay, the people, I mean, it was really like option one. I mean, if it was a draft, it was round one, pick one, like this is where I want to be. It was on my list of 10 target companies right off the bat. The hiring manager, him and his wife used to be on Young Life staff, and so I've known him for a long time. Have hired other people from Young Life, so I knew they would be interested in what I've done. It happened really quick, and I got to also weigh it against other stuff, but I didn't have to go through this grueling, like, 3, 4, 5 rounds of interviews with a bunch of companies to get to this point. And just the timing of it worked out amazing because I knew going into this interview process that I needed to be on our summer camp trip. And when I started interviewing and applying, it was in June, and I would have people ask about start dates. And I was saying, "Yeah, ideally, I'd start August 1st." That was people hesitated on that. And then with real estate, I needed 2 months to get my license anyways. And so it worked out really well, the timing of, oh, yeah, like you work on your licensing, take the test, go on this trip, finish out your other job, and then we'll pick this up in August. And it worked out well for both sides. So,
Man, so awesome how that all really came together with the timing too of I want to be done at this date
yeah.
with my current job, but I can't be done too much later
Yeah.
later
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
that.
It's a tight
Um,
window.
yeah. So man, just so awesome how all that worked together. So last question for you, Clark. Thank you again for spending time with me here and with everybody who's watching. If someone was on the fence, they're watching this, they're hearing your story, they're saying, like, gosh, I don't know. Maybe I should just do it by myself. Maybe I should try some more. Maybe there's a few little different tricks or anything. Someone's on the fence about working with us. What would you tell them?
I think it's one of the biggest life decisions you can make, especially being in the community and seeing people that have been pastors and worked for parachurch ministries for 20 or 30 years. It's a massive undertaking, and I think there's some humility in asking for help along the way. And I think the service that the Ministry to Marketplace platform provides is very tangible. I think when you get into it and see, oh, I'm making this investment, I'm spending this money to do this program for 30 or for 3 months, you can go through and see every single thing that you will need to do to get a job. And I think there's a peace of mind that comes with that that you wouldn't have by yourself. And then there's an accountability that comes with that that you wouldn't have by yourself. Especially most people like me are still in their other jobs. People are not in between jobs and job searching 40 hours a week. Most people are cramming in 8 to 10 hours around meetings and at night and during nap times on the weekend. And so I think the accountability of the program and just the checklist, like just to work the steps, work your way down. I think all of that would be hard to replicate on your own. It's not as easy as just getting into Claude and putting your resume in and saying, you know, make this sound like I want to go into sales. I think it's a more emotional and spiritual process than I think I would have wanted to do by myself. And I don't think many people around me were equipped to really help. I think people had left Young Life and were in jobs that I was interested in, and they would take me to lunch and explain what they did and offer to get me in front of a recruiter. And that was kind of the extent of what would happen, I think, naturally if I hadn't had gone through this process.
Mm, awesome. So sounds like you could have gotten in front of people, but there's almost like a confidence in knowing, okay, I know exactly what to do. I've got other people who can help me that are here in this community as well. And then having the backstop as having coaching support in that
Yeah.
too, making sure that you're going to get through that process in a way. I love what you said too about the emotional and spiritual side, because the job searching is really like an all in experience. It's like it
Yeah.
requires all of you to engage with. Whether you want to do or not, it's gonna
Yeah.
require all
But
of
your
you.
whole life is on display for random strangers for several months. You're just kind of, yeah, putting your whole life on a table and explaining who you are to somebody you've never met and may never see again. It's pretty intense. So,
Well, Clark, thank you so much for telling your story, sharing where you're at, talking about your transition, and congrats again, man. So loved getting to track with you on this and getting to have a conversation with you. And then it felt like wait a second, this happened already. Like
Yeah.
this is, I don't know if it felt like that for you, but it felt
Yeah.
like that for me. So, and very, very excited for you again. Thanks so much for your time. And everybody, thank you for watching.